I now request Professor Kamakoti, Director of IIT-Madras, to address the gathering, please.
A very, very good evening to all of you. We are meeting. I'm very happy that the Corona God has blessed us, that we could all meet in person today for this wonderful event of honoring 9 of our alumnus. When we just did a set of exercises, one of them which I wanted to mention and share with all of you, we were trying to address setting up of semiconductor fabrication unit in the country. So when we looked at the fab process, very, very complex one, there were 32 different steps involved from end to end, where you take a wafer and finally get out a chip. And for each one of these 32 steps, we had an alumnus who had specialized it and worked for at least a decade. And that is the strength of our alumni network. We are very, very proud about it. And looking here, we have what gives us full confidence is that we have indeed, every department has put in their great effort over last 5 decades or 5 to 6 decades in creating that fundamental education that has actually made you take very leading positions in the world and contribute globally, that is bringing our institute lot of recognition. I thank all of you for keeping our institute flag flying very high across the globe. As Mahesh pointed out, we are now trying to make IIT-Madras an institution for all. We are trying to expand our scope, make our institute accessible to more and more children, specifically from rural India. We are setting up rural interaction centers. We are setting up rural technology centers, wherein through the internet, we have started conversing with the kids. There is a bunch of alumni who are currently participating in a video call between 6 to 8 across 25 rural interaction centers in Tamil Nadu. By the end of this year, we want to make it 100. And then we want to make it pan-India. So many of you will have still your roots in your villages. You can identify your villages, tell us, we will set up an infrastructure, and we will enable more alumni to come and interact with this kid and basically talk about higher education, so that we reach a very good gross enrollment ratio of at least 50% by 2035, which is envisaged in our national education policy of the country. I think this is one very important step. As IIT-Madras, we want to take it up seriously and pursue, and we are in that process. We are also looking at a very elaborate department of sustainability. We are looking at a medical school, and a unique BTech program in medical sciences, and a PhD program for doctors, MBBS and MD, to come and pursue a PhD, wherein we want to create next generation physician scientists of world class from our institute. We have also started spreading our expertise into new areas like quantum sciences, and a lot more on interdisciplinary education. Recently, we have announced around 9 interdisciplinary dual degree courses, which the BTech students after their second year can opt for. And this spread across multiple disciplines, starting from additive manufacturing, quantum sciences to quantitative finance. And as a part of our strategic plan, we will be introducing 20 such courses down the line. To make IIT-Madras accessible to more students, we introduced first of its kind the BS in Data Science program, wherein we have now admitted 13,500 students. Number of students on campus today is around 11,500. We have overnight doubled our intake in terms of access. This program is a unique program where there is no age bar, there is no JE for that, there are multiple exit options. At the end of the first year, they can take a diploma. At the end of the second year, they can take first year they can take a certificate. Second year, they can take a diploma. Third year, a 3-year degree. Fourth year, a BS in data sciences. And this is going very well. And we would like to spawn at least another 2 or 3 more such courses. And we would like to have a total student access of around 50,000 students in the next 4 years. This is also our goal, right? And we are working towards this. So these are all some of the important steps that we are taking. In addition to internationalization, all the MTech interdisciplinary MTech programs are today available for international audience. This year we have admitted around 100 international students and 1 joint degree program with a MTech program with a international university. We would like to increase this count to around 1,000 within another 5 to 6 years. So these are all the steps we are taking. We also have a strategic plan in place. The previous strategic plan was one very instrumental for us to retain our number 1 position in the National Institute ranking framework for 7 consecutive years in a row, and the overall position, number 1 position for 4 consecutive years in a row. So we now have our new strategic plan, and this strategic plan envisages many new initiatives. On the research front, we do have a new campus now, which is 25 kilometers away from IIT-Madras, our main campus. It's called the Discovery Campus. And we are setting up multiple research centers there. The National Port Center has set up a very big facility where you can simulate a mini vessel inside. We also have very interesting startups companies, specifically in the space technology. We also have companies which are looking at transportation, including Hyperloop. So a lot of exciting things are happening, and we believe that in the next decade, we will show certain technologies that would be world-class. In 2018, IIT-Madras has been awarded the Institute of Eminence. We are setting up different center of excellences under the Institute of Eminence. And we envisage at least 10 such top centers of eminence will emanate within the next 10 years, which would be world-class. So this is all our journey. And we certainly, the role of alumni has been extremely supportive in all these activities. I look forward to the same level of support and engagement in all our activities so that we could take IIT-Madras to greater heights in the time to come. Again, thank you very much for all the 9 distinguished alumni who have come all the way to attend this function with the family. And I take this opportunity to again congratulate you for this. It was a very tough selection process for the committee which was deciding on these awards. And I'm sure we are very proud of all your contributions. And I also take this opportunity to wish you much more laurels in the future. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Director, for that wonderful address explaining to all of us the vision and the strategic plan ahead for IIT-Madras, which has been ranked number 1 by NIRF for 7 consecutive years. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now start the much-awaited awards ceremony. I request the first recipient of today's award, Ms. Shuba Kumar, batch of 1994, who is now the Managing Director of Natesan Synchrocones Private Limited, India, and Professor Ravi Kumar, Head of the Department, Metallurgical and Materials Engineering, to please come up and be seated on the dais. I now request the Head of the Department to read the citation, please.
Citation for Ms. Shuba Kumar, 1994 BTech, Metallurgical and Materials Engineering, Managing Director, Natesan Synchrocones Private Limited, Chennai. Shuba Kumar graduated with a BTech in Metallurgical Engineering from IIT-Madras, MS in Material Science from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and MBA from Stanford University. After graduating from MIT, she passed up lucrative opportunities in the US to be an entrepreneur in India. She joined Natesan Synchrocones Private Limited, Chennai in its early days and grew the business significantly in 3 years. She went on to pursue her MBA at Stanford to acquire the skills and experience to build a global company out of India. Applied Materials USA hired her to head key functions of their large business units straight out of business school, making her one of the youngest in such a role. She created $1 billion in new markets, improved product quality and reliability, and achieved many customer awards for the company. After nearly a decade in the US, her calling to make a positive impact on the lives of people at the bottom of the pyramid brought her back to India and to Natesan Synchrocones. At that time, the company was a build-to-print, single-product manufacturing company with only a domestic automotive customer base. Under her leadership, Natesan has grown to be a market leader with a vibrant product portfolio and is amongst the top 5 in the world in steel synchronizers rings with a global customer base. Shuba established a thriving Japanese joint venture company, Kyowa Natesan Synchro Technologies Private Limited. She also ventured into aerospace to produce critical components. Due to Shuba's strategic leadership, Natesan has grown significantly and caters to automotive, aerospace, defense, and future mobility solutions, besides being a green power supplier. Natesan has received the Government of India's prestigious Technology Development Award, ACMA Best Product Innovation Award, numerous Global Excellence and Best Supplier Awards across the entire supply base of their customers. Shuba is committed to education for the underprivileged and bringing quality education to rural students. She and her family are patrons of a Tamil medium government school. Natesan has adopted a government school in Uttarakhand, established education centers in 6 villages, provide internships at IITM's Center of Excellence in Advanced Manufacturing for brilliant rural students. Shuba is a respected leader in the auto industry, board member YPO International Automotive Network, chairperson Auto Component Manufacturers Association ACMA Southern Region, and National Steering Committee member of ACMA. She is an advisory committee member of Deakin IIT-Madras, IIT Hyderabad Center of Excellence in Advanced Manufacturing and Materials. She is advisory committee member on exports to Government of Tamil Nadu. She serves as president of IIT-Madras Alumni Association. She served as president of IIT-Madras Alumni Association for 2 terms. For her academic excellence, Shuba is recipient of IIT-Madras Dr. Dandapani Prize, Indian Institute of Metals National Award, Vidya Bharati Prize. Shuba is recognized amongst top 50 women in STEM by Confederation of Indian Industry. In recognition of her entrepreneurial excellence, IIT-Madras and its alumni are proud to confer the Distinguished Alumni Award for the year 2022 on Ms. Shuba Kumar.
Thank you so much, Professor, for reading the citation. I now request our Dean to present the oil painting to Ms. Shuba Kumar. Thank you, Director. Thank you, Professor. I now welcome Ms. Shuba Kumar to deliver her acceptance speech.
Good evening, everyone. Respected Director, Deans, Head of the Department, Professor Ravi, faculty, students, alumni, family and friends, welcome to all of you. Hearty congratulations to all the DAA winners today. I'm actually truly humbled to be selected for this DAA award. The illustrious names I see on the board here and the remaining, the total 120 that Professor Mahesh talked about are just absolutely amazing names. So to be as a part of that list is very, very humbling for me. So when I set foot on the campus about 28 years ago, I don't think anybody, I don't think I would have imagined that this was possible. And I vividly remember before maybe I was in the 11th grade or so, I had an interaction with my cousin and my sister. And I said, maybe I'm going to write the JEE exam. And my sister said, oh, that's a very difficult college to get into. So that is the level of expectation out of me back then. And when I joined the, I actually joined late Professor Shankaran for physics coaching. That was actually for getting by with CBSE 12th standard physics. And so I hadn't actually taken on other subjects. And he was not keen to take me as his student because I was moving from a state board to central board. And he didn't think I would make it into an IIT. So very, very low expectations to start with. But he was actually instrumental in me coming to IIT because once he realized there was some potential, then he said, you know, you should actually not self-study, but go to some coaching classes. And he made me sign up into in the 12th grade. So I have many things to be thankful for, and Professor Shankaran was one of them. So the credit for all my accomplishments goes to my mother, who's seated here on the first row, Mrs. Hema. She believed in me, supported me in every way possible, and encouraged me to do my best, not worrying about the results. I think her role in my life and trajectory is unimaginable. She's a true inspiration. Thank you. Anyway, the rest, as they say, is history, once we have part of IIT and beyond. So, as you know, our branch is decided by our JEE rank, and I got metallurgy. Back in the day, we didn't have as much choice as students today have in terms of the flexibility in curriculum and picking courses across departments. But even then, the faculty members were amazing. They supported students who wanted to do anything more or outside the curriculum and supported us with opportunities. So when we'd hardly done any metallurgy courses, I went to Professor Keshavan Nair. He handled one of our first courses. So me and a friend went to him and said we wanted to do a project with him. And he gladly gave us a project. We had no idea what we were doing, but it was a phenomenal experience that the institute, even when there was no formal structure to do it, we had those opportunities and the faculty were so supportive. Professor O. Prabhakar, who was my BTech project guide and a very dear mentor, he was flexible to allow an interdisciplinary project. This was on electronic materials, working with the electrical and electronics department at that time. And I used to work in the VLSI lab of Professor K.N. Bhatt. So flexibility was made possible for the students to do whatever we wanted. And I wish to call upon T.R. Ramachandran, who was a senior of mine. He was the one who introduced me to material science, to all the possibilities that material science can offer. And he enabled me to make the choice of where I wanted to do my project by giving me a landscape of what material science can offer to us. I'm very grateful to Professor Kirk Kohlenbrander and Professor Gerd Cedar, who were my thesis advisors at MIT. They really gave me an opportunity of a lifetime, completely funded program, which was otherwise impossible to go to. It was a fascinating experience. I worked on computational material science, on semiconductor nanostructures, and I was also on the sidelines. The same lab work was happening on battery chemistry with computational material science. So it was a very evolving field, but I'm talking about in the mid-90s, 94 to 96 time frame. So very, very long ago, when nano and all the things I'm talking about didn't even make sense to the common person outside of the academic institutions. So material science is such a fascinating field. A lot of innovation today is made feasible because of material science and evolution in these technologies, whether it's EV or quantum computing, semiconductors, new materials, new manufacturing processes. All these, name it, material science has played a role. And IIT-Madras has played a very significant role for me personally, because even today, we use material science as a differentiator in our company. And I think it would be a blessing that I had a chance to be in this field upfront by chance. So coming to, it was not all academics for me at IIT. Being surrounded by absolutely incredible people who are multifaceted, and there was always someone better than you in just about anything you thought about, any field. And so what I learned was at IIT, it was to learn how to learn and not to be afraid of failure. I think these were the two key takeaways for me coming out of this system. It's a super competitive place. Very few women back then. We were one of about, I mean, we had 7 women in the whole graduating class. So very, very interesting dynamics were at play. Anyway, so it was fabulous grounding, preparation for life. These came in handy as I moved into very different fields, whether it is manufacturing. So my first job out of MIT, I came back here to do manufacturing. And nothing in academics prepared me for it. I was completely clueless, learning. It was like learning from a fire hose. Then I was in a startup where we were doing organic and sustainable technologies. Again, very different. At Applied Materials, I was into semiconductor, into flat panel display, solar, and software, a whole lot of different technologies and fields, and now into automotive and aerospace. So this really gave me the grounding to take risks, not being worried about what would happen. So in the final year of IIT, there was a course called Metallurgical Plant Design. I don't think that the name of the course does justice to it. We basically had to come up with some useful way of applying what we had learned and put together some structure of how we could use it in the industry. So I actually ended up creating a business plan at that point. And that was my first introduction to how technology could actually be commercialized. So we came up with a product and how we could use metallurgical processes for it. And that entrepreneurship bug that bit me back then stays with me till today. So talking of entrepreneurship, I'd say my father is my role model in this. He came from a village. He's seated right here. He basically started out in manufacturing from scratch, not an easy task, and he made things look really simple. And I had the good fortune of learning from him. I've learned so many things from him over the years. He gave me the space to try out new things and fail and learn at my own pace. So this was incredible. Thank you. In the summer between my years at Stanford, I started building the green, organic, sustainable business, and this is, we're talking 2000 time frame, with my sibling who's back there, Sriram, and my sister who's in the US. It was very early to market. Nobody understood what it was and was not willing to pay for it. As they say in Silicon Valley, if an idea is, a true test for an idea is, will the dog eat the dog food? And I guess we were not there. And there's no point in building bells and whistles on a product before there is a market for it. This learning is something that I take deep in my heart till today, and something we look at as we grow businesses in our business today. At Natesan, we've introduced numerous first-in-India technologies, and over the past 5 years, our annual revenues, 20 to 25% of them come from new products developed in the last 3 years. But for every commercial success we've talked about here, we've had our fair share of failures, projects that have not taken off at the first instance. And we've continued the journey, accepting that these are actually setbacks and building capability for us, something that we can move on with. And it's amazing to see how some years later that all these learnings come together. And actually it transforms into something far bigger than we ever imagined, but applied in a very new way. So I think our investments in research and development have paid off. And all this would not have been possible without the guidance and support of my father, Sri N. Balasubramanian, my brother Hari, who's sitting back there. He's played a big role for me today in where I am personally and professionally, and Vivek, and my amazing colleagues at Natesan. I'm grateful to my mentors and well-wishers I've had at Applied Materials, Tom Stepien, Tom Kim, Surinder Bedi, and Randir Thakur. My friend and auto component industry leader, Harish Lakshman, has been an incredible support for me in my journey in India. I thank my guru for guiding me in every step of my way, my mother-in-law, who's always been there for me. Last but not the least, my family was sitting right back there. My husband, Shiva, my children, Shashank and Shreya, who's been here, traveled here to be here with me on this special occasion, for their unconditional support and affection, without whom I couldn't have done any of the things I've done here. And I'm thankful for the love and affection from my family and friends who are here, and many have logged in online. Thank you all. And this recognition is a big motivator for me to do more. This is just the beginning. There is so much to be done, and the journey continues. Thank you. Thank you, IIT-Madras.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shuba Kumar, for that inspirational acceptance speech. Moving to the next awardee, I invite Mr. Paresh Chari, batch of 1973, former chairman of the board and CEO of Duraline Corporation, USA, to come up and be seated on the dais. I now request Professor Ravi Kumar to render the citation.
Citation for Shri Paresh Chari, 1973 MTech, Metallurgy, Chairman of the Board and CEO retired, Duraline Corporation. Shri Paresh Chari retired from Duraline Corporation and its parent ORBI in January 2019. He served as Chairman of the Board and CEO of Duraline and as the President of ORBI's Fluent Group, a $4 billion global business with over 90 facilities and 15,000 employees worldwide. He was on the boards of Wavin, Netherlands and Netafim, Israel prior to retiring, and currently serves on the advisory board of Onward Capital. His prior experience includes executive roles at AT&T, Emerson and Halliburton. He has driven business transformation and archived both organic and inorganic growth, including acquisitions, JVS, Greenfield, and strategic alliances in several countries. Through several ownership changes, including Emerson and several private equities, Shri Paresh led Duraline through significant growth, starting with a $65 million operation to over $1.2 billion. The prior private equity owners included Jordan Industries Chicago, Sun Capital Boca Raton, Audax Group Boston, and CHS Chicago. Each sale resulted in significant value creation for its owners. Shri Paresh has an MBA from the University of Michigan, as well as both master's and bachelor's degree of engineering from IIT-Madras and National Institute of Technology, Surathkal, respectively. He's also a certified public accountant in the US. He's an FCA in India. He has completed executive education programs at Northwestern and Harvard. He also completed the Director's College at Stanford in 2013. For his exemplary achievements in the field of business and management, IIT-Madras and its alumni are proud to confer this award upon Shri Paresh Chari.
I now request our director to honor the Distinguished Alumni Awardee with an Angavastram and a memento. I now request our Dean to present the oil painting. Thank you, Director and Professors. I request Mr. Paresh Chari to give his accepted speech.
Thank you. First of all, Director, thank you. Professor Mahesh, thank you, and thank you, everyone. I want to thank IIT-Madras for this award. I am both honored and humbled to receive this award. It's taken a long time. I graduated 50 years ago. And 50 years later, and I think I'm looking at it, and I probably am the oldest of the 9 award winners in this group. The award was for the year 2020. I retired in 2019, and as you can see in the picture, I had black hair. and you know, the pandemic turned my hair gray. So I have very fond memories. When I got back here yesterday for the first time after 50 years, I mean, I had a feeling of nostalgia. I hadn't had that in a long time. I've been around the world. I've seen places, but this is like coming home. As I started hearing some of the achievements of the school, congratulations on 7 consecutive years of being #1. It doesn't really happen. And I've been to Harvard, I've been to Stanford, I've been to Northwestern, I've been to Michigan, but I've never heard of a school getting 7 consecutive #1 awards. That's quite an achievement. Makes me feel very proud to be part of it. Professor Mahesh said, things change, and I hope the next decade or next many years will be better than today. Let me do the reverse. I asked myself a question. I was here 50 years ago. Is this place better off now than when I started 50 years ago? And the answer is a resounding yes. As I looked at all the changes that have taken place, changes galore, the changes in terms of innovation, changes in terms of new areas of study. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, this place has transformed and has continued to transform, and I hope it does so going into the future. Let me try a reverse. 50 years ago, when I was a student here, there was no laptop, no PCs, none of that stuff. All there was an IBM 360 mainframe computer. I remember walking to class, and one of the students had those cards, programming cards in Fortran. Whole project was in Fortran, and this person dropped the card. And my God, I felt so sorry because you've lost 3-4 months of all your hard work. That's stress. Today, that's gone. I'll give you another one. When I was here, there was no phones or landline. No mobile, no cell phones, nothing. When I went from here to Ann Arbor, Michigan to get my MBA, I remember vividly, my mother and father had to, when they tried to reach me, they had to make what was called a trunk call. They'd call an operator, and it would take 6 hours minimum to maybe 24 hours for them to connect with me. And by the time they reached me, the news they wanted to tell me had already become old. And that's how things were. Okay, fast forward to today. Now you have online, we have instant communication. I mean, things have changed. When I was in AT&T, there was no cell phones or mobile phones. And yours truly was given the responsibility of running a division. And the division was mobile phones. And nobody had heard of them. The company next to us was a company called Motorola. Motorola was one of the first companies to launch mobile phones. And the first mobile phone was this big, okay? And if those of you who know anything about the history of a mobile phone, it started with the Second World War, where the where the soldier in the trenches would be calling the sergeant and saying, "Help, they're killing me or shooting me." And that's how it started. And if you go to Motorola University in Chicago, they have a whole museum of how mobile phones came to be. So yours truly had to try to run and sell mobile phones when nobody wanted them. Nobody. I mean, people would say, no, it hurts privacy. Or people would say, no, and so on and so forth. So we had to do all kinds of gimmicks to get it launched. And today, everyone has one. I mean, everybody walks around with it. It's got languages. It's got all kinds of stuff. So my point is change happens. People who welcome change, people who accept change will do well. And as I leave, my parting message to everybody is accept change. It is inevitable. Drive change and be the driver and not the driven. Thank you.